the big news today, the top headline on Drudge and many other places, is that Donald Trump, either has to pay $454 million to the state of New York for years and years and years of repeated tax fraud, insurance fraud, and frankly, fraud against the citizens of the state of New York. I mean, he ripped them off. He deprived them of tax revenue. And like I said, fraud against the banks and the insurance companies. He apparently does not have $454 million. If he wants to appeal the decision, which of course he's saying he wants to do, he just did that with the E.G. and Carroll case, then he has to put up a bond where you only pay 8, 9, 10% of the total amount, which in this case would be, $40 million more or less. And then the bonding company puts up the rest of the money. Well, Trump just notified the court that they have approached 4 different brokers who have approached 30 different what are called surety companies. It's kind of the fancy high-end big business equivalent of a bail bondsman. And they've all turned him down. Nobody thinks nobody trusts him to repay 400 some odd dollars. I mean, keep in mind, the $80 million that was posted for the E.G. and Carroll thing, came from a guy who was politically aligned with Donald Trump. It came from the Chubb Insurance Company, and who has a whole bunch of connections to Russia. And we have no idea who co-signed that, by the way. So number one, frankly, from my point of view, and I've not seen much written about this, but I'm suspecting we will start to see things written about this. I think this is a major national security crisis. You have a candidate for president of the United States who has incredible influence over his party, to the point that he was able to swing his party from supporting democratic Ukraine to supporting a bloodthirsty tyrant, Vladimir Putin. I mean, that's just breathtaking. Dwight Eisenhower, Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan rolling over in their graves, even George Herbert Walker Bush and George W. Bush. A complete break with the history of the Republican Party. But with that kind of power, if he was to go to the Saudis and say, hey, will you loan me $500 million? Or to, any other foreign, go to Putin. Putin's certainly got that kind of money. He's one of the richest men in the world. He's got $1 billion house, his dacha down by Sochi. If he were to do that, or to go to China, go to President Xi and say, hey, give me $500 million and I'll do whatever you want when I become president. He's a completely transactional guy. He has no ethics. He has no ethical core. This is a national security crisis. And the court should demand complete transparency on his bonding. We don't have that in the E.G. and Carroll case. We don't know who co-signed his bond. We don't know the details of how Chubb was affiliated with Russia and if Russia had anything to do with that money. And, we need to do that with this.